Ground level, the improbable myth. Curiosity is finished with him for now. Not gone, never gone, just momentarily satisfied. Still awake, still restless, still turning pages behind him, fingers tracing margins already marked 100 times over. Focus remains seated at the long table, posture unchanged, holding a narrow beam of attention steady as a blade. Reason and logic occupy opposite sides of the room, not speaking, not arguing, simply present, weighing, balancing, refining. Reflection lingers near the tall windows, watching light bend across the floor, quietly folding old thoughts back into place. Skepticism leans against a stone pillar, arms crossed, eyes sharp, making sure nothing leaves this room untested. None of them stop him. They never do. The library doesn't close. It never closes. Only he leaves. His boots find the cobbles beyond the threshold, old stone, worn smooth by repetition, familiar enough that he doesn't need to look down. The streets open around him the way they always do, solid and unreal at the same time. Things stand exactly where they should, and yet none of it feels fixed. The courtyard stretches wide ahead. No court today. The steps are occupied instead. Responsibility sits where it always does, upright and alert, while consequence rests beside it, quiet but unmistakable. Accountability stands nearby, arms folded, waiting for something to be claimed. There's movement, murmurs, the sense of things being held rather than decided. Above it all, the sun and the moon share the sky. Impossible, constant, watching from opposite truths. The street narrows as he leaves the courtyard, drawn inward by the tower's pull. Not by force, by inevitability. Stone bends toward it. Distance lies. Even thought feels heavier here, as if everything that moves through this place must acknowledge the tower before passing on. He does not stop. At the base of the tower, the ground drops away. The dungeon mouths open beneath it, not hidden, not sealed, simply waiting. Two figures stand at the threshold. Self-preservation blocks the left side, broad and immovable, eyes forward, hands steady. Nothing gets through without permission. Nothing leaves without cost. Beside it stands containment, silent and absolute. Not cruel, not kind. A presence built to hold what cannot yet be faced. What would tear the streets apart if allowed to roam. Monsters stir behind the bars. Not named, not negotiated with, only kept. They acknowledge him with the barest nod. He hurries past. Above him, the throne room presses its weight downward through stone and spine alike. He doesn't enter it. He never does. But he feels it. The elevation, the stillness, the certainty of presence. Up there, ego sits exactly where it always has, unmoved by anything below. Pride stands close at its side, rigid and polished. Arrogance drifts along the edges, unchallenged, unbothered. Vanity lingers near reflective surfaces, admiring permanence. Defiance remains upright and alert, daring the world to try. He moves on. The pull of the tower loosens behind him, but it doesn't release him completely. Its weight follows at a distance, like something that refuses to stay where it belongs. As he clears its shadow, the fortress opens again, streets widening just enough to breathe. The war rooms sit apart from the tower, squat and scarred, their walls darker than the rest of the city. Smoke-stained stone, doors reinforced and scored by impacts that never quite reached the streets. This place was built for collision. Inside, rage paces like a caged animal, too large for the space, claws scraping across old maps. Fury leans over a table cut with blade marks, eyes bright, restless, waiting. Strategy stands apart from them all, calm and exacting, arranging pieces that represent pressure, timing, consequence. Resolve anchors the room, silent and immovable, ensuring that when force is chosen, it is carried through. They notice him. They all of them follow. Beyond the war rooms, the ground begins to rise. The hill lifts gently from the city, stone giving way to grass that should not grow here, but does. Along the slope stand belief, quiet and unquestioned. Conviction, rooted and unyielding. Fidelity, steady and watchful. Loyalty, patient and enduring. Integrity, higher than the rest, offering no shortcuts. He passes it without ascending, letting its presence remain what it is, watched, acknowledged, not undisturbed. The street bends again and warmth spills outward. The tavern opens to the side, alive with exchange. Inside, wit snaps sharply from table to table. Humor holds the room together, generous and infectious. Banter moves freely, quick and uncontained. Mischief leans into every opportunity. Irony watches carefully, dry and precise. He keeps walking. The energy from the tavern follows for a few steps. laughter thinning into echoes, wit trailing like warmth in the air. Then it loosens its grip and lets him go. The path widens without ceremony. Stone gives way to earth. The noise of the fortress doesn't stop. It simply knows where not to follow. The garden opens in front of him. He steps into it. Patience is there first. Unhurried, unbothered, moving at a pace that refuses to be rushed. Gentleness drifts nearby, careful with every motion, mindful of what it touches. Acceptance sits in quiet places, not asking for anything, not turning anything away. Grief is present too, not heavy, simply real, woven into the soil like something that has learned how to stay. Innocence moves freely between them all, unguarded, curious, untouched by the weight carried elsewhere. Flowers grow where they will, color without instruction. Trees stand rooted, branches reaching in their own directions. There is the childhood swing, and there in the moonlight, the lunar ghost and the bench. Among the fountains and winding paths there is a bard. He moves as he plays, music threading itself through the garden without effort, without demand. Notes drift between flowers and stone, carried low across the soft grass where birds gather and scatter in easy arcs. The sound doesn't command attention, it invites it, and the garden answers. The grass yields beneath his feet, cool and forgiving. Leaves shift overhead. Water catches light and lets it go again. The sun rests warmly across the space, a steady protective presence, holding the garden in its glow. He stands there for a moment, letting the music pass through him in the warmth of the sun. And he wonders, if this is the world, then where do I go when I open my eyes?